What's going on, guys? It's Brankin, and today I'm bringing you a new War Thunder video of the P-47 Thunderbolt, and this comes at the request of Nick Sevic, but it's about time that I finally do a P-47 video. Now, I just did a video over the P-51 Mustang, and some people might not agree with me on this, but I feel that the P-47 and the P-51 Mustang are very similar in their tactics. Now, the P-47 is basically an all-around, all-purpose plane, and I say this just because there's so many other attachments that you can put on this plane, such as the loadout it carries. It carries 2 1,000-pounders, a 500-pounder, and 10 rockets. Now, the ordnance that this plane carries is enough to take down a bombing point. And it's pretty impressive too, because I mean, if you think about it, if you see my squad of B-17s, I started thinking to myself, what's the point in flying a B-17 when I can just fly a P-47, have better maneuverability, and take out a bombing point faster, and then also have room to take out light pillboxes with the amount of ammo that I have with my ground ammunition. So just like any other plane, there's pros and there's cons to the P-47, and I'm going to go ahead and cover it in this video. Also, I'm going to go over some of the tactics I use. If you want a really in-depth tactics video, go look at my P-51 video. The P-47 and P-51 are very, very similar in their flight style that I use for this thing. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the pros and the cons of the P-47. So to start off with, we're going to hit the pros first. Now, the one main thing that I really like about this plane is the amount of ammo that it has. Now, it has 8 50 cal Browning machine guns with 3,400 rounds of ammunition. Now, I usually use ground ammunition, the type, ammo belt type for this plane, because the 850 cals will tear through light pillboxes so fast, and it makes a very effective ground attacker. And I'm going to go ahead and actually post a video of the Hellcat, and the Hellcat is probably the most comparable plane to the P-47 because 1, it's a good fighter, and 2, it's a good ground attacker. So basically these planes are really good fighter bombers. But that's straying from the point. Now, the next pro of the P-47 is that it's a top-notch diver, and I cannot stress this enough. This plane is really great for boom and zooming, and I'll go ahead and cover this in a bit with the tactics I'll provide you. Also, another one of my favorite pros about this plane is it's a lower tier plane. However, the speed is really great for this plane at its tier. Also, another decent pro to this plane is that its maneuverability is fairly good. It can stay in a dogfight with just about any plane, which I really like. However, there are some cons to the maneuverability. One big problem to the maneuverability is the looping. The Thunderbolt is just a big, massive, and heavy plane, and it just does not loop well. Another big problem is when reaching the max speed, it loses a lot of its maneuverability, and the plane will even become unresponsive. So don't put it in too steep a dive and hope to pull out of it, because your plane will become unresponsive. The maneuverability can change depending on which role you're doing. As many of you know, or if you don't know, when you equip rockets or bombs or something like that, then your plane's maneuverability will take a hit and won't maneuver as well as it would without it. Other than that, the plane should be good to go. It's a fighter bomber, and if you just assume that rule and you play smart, like I said in my P-51 video, then you should be fine. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and move into the tactics that I use for the P-47. Now, the P-47 tactics are very similar to the P-51 tactics, like I said. What I normally like to do is climb up to around 6,000 meters or 20,000 feet, depending on what conversion you are on. And I usually just hover around up there for a bit. I usually check the scoreboard. I see how many enemies are on the opposing team, so I get an idea about who's up high and who's down low, possibly. And then what I do next is I check above me. If there's anything above me, then what I will do is turn back around, start heading towards our friendlies, and I'll start putting my P-47 in a climb. That way, if they are still above me and start to dive on me, I can dive down to my friendlies and get some assistance so I don't have a big problem on my hands. On the other hand, if I get above them and they're still below me, what I'll normally do is turn around and force them into a head-on while gaining speed. You always want to keep your speed up. And if I force them into a head-on, usually they'll peel off early and I'll have the upper hand, and then I'll just zoom off and then come back around on them. Or if they turn off early, you can usually roll down on them and then get the upper hand. But never get below them. Never let them drag you down too low. Always stay above them. Also remember, guys, it is a very good idea in a head-on to peel off early. Never hold the head-on for too long, because it will just never end up going well for the both of you. Or just use the simple tactics of boom and zooming. Like I said, just continue to climb, get above your enemy. If they're still above you, turn around, keep climbing, and start heading towards your friendlies. That way, if you dive, then of course you can go down. But the standard boom and zooming, just get above them and dive down and shoot them, then climb back up and just keep this going until you finally hit your mark. So moving on to ground attacking, I actually personally like ground attacking more. It's just what I like to do in games. So what I like to do is put on ground ammunition and fly towards the battlefield, usually at treetop level. Normally, I don't take rockets or bombs with me if I'm just hitting light pillboxes. However, when there is the occasional heavy pillbox, what I'll normally do is just equip rockets and bombs and sweep those out of the way. Then I'll move back to the light pillboxes and start to hit those. Just remember, guys, ground attacking usually does lead to death because of all the enemies. If they see a P-47 down low, then by golly, they're going to go down and get it. So I recommend doing this in squads, or if you see an enemy, then head back towards your fleet of guys back there, so that way you have reassurance. But anyway, guys, that pretty much sums up this P-47 video. If you want an in-depth tactics video, then go take a look at my P-51 video. I'll link that down in the description. But I think that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My name's Brandon, and as always, have a nice day.